Welcome back. Futures on the decline this morning after 2 winning days. Investors are feeling optimistic after President Trump softened his tariff stance on China. But just this morning, China's Ministry of Commerce says there are no negotiations or talks on the table, saying, quote, if the U.S. really wants to resolve the problem, it should cancel all the unilateral measures on China. Now, this is coming just a day after President Trump was pressed about the timeline of bringing down that 145% China tariff. Watch.
How soon do you want to bring the tariffs on Chinese goods?
Well, that depends on them. We have a situation where we have a very, very great place. It's called the United States of America, and it's been ripped off for years and years. These people know it. We talked about it before you came in. We've been ripped off by every country in the world practically, and friend and foe. And we're not doing that anymore.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says China's economic model is harming the entire world. Watch.
China's current economic model is built on exporting its way out of its economic troubles. It's an unsustainable model that is not only harming China, but the entire world. China needs to change. We want to help it change because we need rebalancing too. China can start by moving its economy away from export overcapacity and towards supporting its own consumers and domestic demand. Such a shift would help with global rebalancing that the world desperately needs.
Joining me now is ProChain Capital President David Tawil. David, great to see you this morning. Thank you for being here. I want to get your thoughts first on what the president had to say about China, and then we can move on to Bessent.
Sure. Look, with respect to the president, I think the majority of the country is now fully appreciative of the fact that he likes to have chaotic situations. He likes to pontificate in public, potentially negotiate in public. And we're dealing with an adversary on the other side that does not have a similar posture. And so therefore, the market is subject to those statements and the rhetoric that comes out each day. I can tell you, though, on a real-world commerce basis, right now, anything that the United States does, whether it be manufacturing or importing from China, is absolutely frozen, is on hold. That's something that can go ahead and, sustain for a week or two or three. But there is going to be some serious and real-world damage if this ends up being a protracted period of time.
And when it comes to Scott Bessent, his comments are talking about really reshaping China's economy in a major way. And, China's got problems at home. For sure, and so does the United States, and we need to work together. They're also our adversary, which further complicates things. I mean, Beijing is basically not rolling over at this point. How long do you think it takes for the two sides to be able to cool off, step away from this, yet then come back together to find a common ground?
Look, I think Bessent, whether those words were his or the president's, and him being rolled out to go ahead and state them, they're inflammatory and offensive. The United States trying to change China's economy, China has been very calculated in building their economy exactly the way they've wanted for a very long time. In stark contrast, in this country, we have a new president either every 4 or 8 years, and a Congress that gets reshaped very often as well. It is we who really don't have a direction on where we're going, and that's why we found ourselves in this quagmire. China has been very calculated. I don't think they want to go ahead and move away from an export-based economy and bringing in U.S. dollars into their country and being one of the largest lenders to the United States of America. They've done that on a very calculating basis. And that's why, Jackie, and this is really where the rubber meets the road, this is going to be a very difficult negotiation.
Yeah.
This is not something that China is going to overnight say, okay, we're done with this strategy. We're willing to move on to something different. I'm sure they've known that this can't last forever on the one hand. On the other hand, I'm sure that they're okay with the United States going bankrupt and China reaping the rewards of it.
Yeah. Quick on the markets. Obviously, there's been a lot of volatility. So you're talking about this taking a little bit more time, and that's understandable. If we were to get another deal, for example, with India or with Japan or possibly even the EU, do you think that would change sentiment? And not just looking at the markets overall, there's just been a flight to safety. So gold's been up. Bitcoin's been down this morning, but it's off yesterday's highs. It surged past the $90,000 level for the first time since March. So investors putting their focus on cryptocurrency in this volatility. Cantor Fitzgerald reportedly planning to launch a $3 billion crypto venture with SoftBank, Tether, and Bitfinex to serve as the special purpose acquisition company before potentially going public. Cantor now ran by Brandon Lutnick, the son of current Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. David, how are the tariffs impacting Bitcoin?
So let's go from your last question backward. With regard to Bitcoin, please, I say to investors, watch what they do. Do not listen to what they say. The Trump administration all around, whether it be Donald Trump and his family or Howard Lutnick and his extensions, are all focused on cryptocurrency. They are doing this very purposefully. They are not getting involved in manufacturing or importing. They are getting involved in cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is going to be the heir apparent to gold. It is also going to go ahead and take strength away from the U.S. dollar, which, frankly, the Trump administration wants. The U.S. cannot continue with an incredibly strong U.S. dollar. It is something that needs to go ahead and weaken.
Yeah.
And with respect to markets more broadly, certainly the markets will be euphoric if we go ahead and announce a deal with India or even a deal with Vietnam, which has already announced their deal for themselves. I think the markets will be happy. That being said, though, Main Street here is very different than Wall Street. There is not going to be an all of a sudden, restarting ships traveling overseas, bringing in goods to this country on containers, dropped 50% on a week-over-week basis from 2 weeks ago to last week.
Yeah.
We are having a seizure in commerce around the world. That will not go ahead and break if we just announce one deal. There needs to be a path to full resolution that can be seen before we start to see that.
Agreed. And the president warned us that this would be a bumpy ride, that there would be short-term pain for some long-term gain, but investors certainly getting a little impatient, waiting for some of that news to come out. David, we're out of time, but so appreciate you joining us this morning. Great to see you. David Tawil.
Thank you, Jackie.